So, Stuart, what's the idea behind this?
Well, I mean, the Museum of Bath at Work is, as the name rather suggests, about the one thing that unites most of us, which is working for a living, working for reward, whether that's financial or otherwise. And I think museums like this have often been criticised for constantly looking back, constantly being concerned with the past. And I think we do that to put the present in some kind of context. But it seemed to me now, what with the changes in working practice, working from home, post-pandemic, that kind of thing, we should look at the city's working population, the working workforce of the city as it is now, and take some kind of snapshot, literally snapshots of the city's workers, and try and make that as representative an exhibition as possible.
Well, how difficult was it making it as representative as possible? How did you go about choosing?
Well, to an extent it's self-sorted. We asked a whole range of people. We made a list of different sectors that we wanted to represent the city. So retail, services, manufacturing, the voluntary sector. And then we approached people in those different sectors that we took from a list of, commercial operators. And the people who replied, we featured in the exhibition. Lots of people didn't, incidentally. So it's as representative as it can be. But I think that the principle on which the exhibition is displayed allows us to change it. And although we've got 50 portraits featured at the moment in July 2022, it's very easy to add new ones to it. And I think the plan is that over the succeeding years, we'll do more and it will gradually evolve and change.
Oh, so I'm still in with a chance then. Now, how did this work out gender-wise?
Well, again, it was a bit self-sorting. I mean, I think we wanted it to be as inclusive as possible and have as many different, genders and groups that we could represent. Because the idea of the exhibition is to represent not only to people who live in Bath who want to come and see it, but visitors to the city who are going to have an idea of what Bath's history is about and what Bath is about. And this will give them a different view.
And would they, the visitors, be surprised at the range of jobs, talents, crafts involved?
One of the questions I'm most commonly asked is, well, it's all very well talking about all this Victorian stuff and steam technology, but what do people do in Bath now? And I think there is a conception, an idea that Bath is a place where people don't make things, that it's all services. One of the things that this exhibition, I think, demonstrates is that there's a lot of manufacturing going on. A lot of it, though, is craft-based. It's small-scale manufacturing. It's not factory, smokestack manufacturing any longer.
Name one now.
Manufacturer.
Yes, point me in the direction.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about making things on a level of craft, it would be this lady, Brongman William Ellis, who makes ceramic plates, makes ceramic tiles and that kind of thing. This is an example of that scale of manufacturing. It's almost as if we were going back to the Middle Ages scale of manufacturing. It's local, it's selling to a largely local market, although these things do sell from outside Bath. But I think in a way that might be some kind of utopian future, is that we manufacture some things locally and at this level of scale.
You are standing right next to an artist who I would imagine is quite popular these days, Jonathan Toogood.
Yeah.
He's into tattoos.
He is. One of the things that we wanted to represent was the creative sector. You hear a great deal about that these days. People involved in artistic creation of one sort or another. And, tattooing is something which has always been with us, but is particularly, in vogue at present. And this is a very interesting photograph because I had an idea, I suppose a traditional idea of people being surrounded by the tools of their trade. And I had this idea of, this rather sort of Dickensian view of like half-empty bottles full of ink and, that kind of thing. And of course, this is an example of where, there's someone whose work involves making people feel as comfortable as possible when they go to have their art done, and it to be as sanitary and as sterile and as as clean as it can possibly be, because that's what you want to convey. So the picture might look rather sort of not surrounded by the tools of the trade, but they are there. You just have to look at them more carefully.
Well, I've managed to avoid the tattoo so far.
Right, so far.
I've reached the stage where the skin's already wrinkly. Now, something I was looking at down here. Oh, Maggie Willans.
Oh, yeah.
She's a bell ringing teacher.
Well, the other things we wanted to do was to represent those people who work voluntarily, so they give their time without financial reward. And Maggie's one of those people who's teaching this skill for all ages, and it's one of those things that I think adds to the enjoyment of the historic city. The oral aspect. I think one of the things about Bath is people talk about what you can see, but I think what you can hear is an important thing. So the Abbey or the bell ring from the Abbey or anywhere else is, and she's one of the people who's responsible for that.
Just above her is Fang Yu Lin.
Yep.
She's a Taiwanese pastry chef,
Yeah.
and it's lovely to celebrate, I suppose, in the way just how multicultural Bath has become.
Well, absolutely. I think there are these, there is these little businesses about. Fang, when we had the opening of the exhibition, she volunteered to make 50 cakes, little biscuits as it turned out, especially for the event. And she said she spent hours the night before stamping them all with this little message that said Museum of Bath at Work, which we're very grateful for. And one of I suppose there's a subtext to the exhibition in a way, is that this will hopefully enable us to develop better links with the business community, because it's one thing for Bath to be represented by big businesses. You hear about, well, he's not in Bath anymore, is he, Dyson? But I mean, there are these large concerns. But I mean, in fact, the city's commercial life is better represented by these little operations and people working on their own, their own way of doing things.
I'm just going to select one more person. I'm going for a man again, Peter King. Bearing in mind how much this city's being used at the moment as a scenic backdrop for movies, Netflix and co. Now, Peter's not far away, is he? Because the Bath Academy of Media Makeup is right next door.
Absolutely next door. In fact, it's so close that when the students at the makeup school need willing volunteers, I should say, they come banging on the door if they want students to make us up with beards and moustaches. And
I hope what he's holding in his hand isn't a living victim. Well, it's not living if it was.
No, I mean, I think you could be forgiven for thinking he's got like a severed head in his hand. But one of the things he does is wig making and all of those sort of special effects, which they teach at the makeup school. That's one of his speciality. Wigs.
Stuart, I think it's a fascinating display of just how vibrant the city is.
Very, very vibrant and very varied as well. I think the idea of the exhibition is that we keep changing it. These panels that the photographs go in, they're A3 printed sheets. They cost a couple of pounds each to print. So there are 50 of them in these slots, and if we can still get someone to take the pictures and do the typesetting, which is relatively inexpensive, we could change all 50 in a couple of years' time, or change a couple of them. So in theory, at least, it will constantly evolve.
I take my hat off to you. What I would if I was wearing it, at how subtly you creep in the little ask for sponsorship.
Well, we have to cover the costs of the gas bill.
Stuart, thanks very much for your time.
Not at all.